everyone, and welcome to 19 O'Clock News, a Kodocha podcast featuring me, That Kodocha Girl, and Mahou Shoujo M.
Hello.
Today we'll be talking about episode 15 of the anime, which is the Summer of My Promise Part 2, or the Promise Summer Part 2. So this is one of M's favorite episodes, and I think this is probably up there as one of mine as well. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's definitely my top 5.
I don't know exactly what it is that I like about this episode. I think I really love the manga chapter as well. It's got one of my favorite monologues, so to speak, of the series. And I don't know, it's just really fun to kind of get to see Sana and Akito's relationship continue to blossom.
Mm-hmm.
We also meet Naozumi for the first time, so it's just a party all around.
Yep. Yeah, I absolutely love the opening of this episode. So we get a really long conversation between Sana and Akito, and they are just, they're just really growing really close to each other. I think this is the first time we see Akito like genuinely smile. Like it's not a smirk. Like he's actually like happy to be alive.
My blessed boy. That was something I noticed too, is like there's really only a few times, at least in the manga, that Obana draws Akito like genuinely smiling. It's this time, and then kind of as he is about to get on the plane at the end of the series. And in both instances, she draws him in profile, which I find really interesting. It was just something I noticed this time. I was like, so she never really draws him dead on smiling. And I wonder if that's just because it's hard for her,
Well,
or
Akito's too, as Sana would say, Akito's too cool to smile.
Yeah, that really tickled me. I like
Me too.
I like her doing, especially in their conversation, when she does the impression of him in the anime. That really makes me laugh. But she's like, "You can always come to me to cry," and she's like, "This is too funny. I can't."
I know.
I love that.
Yeah, that's another reason why I just love this anime all around. Like I've seen it so many times, but every time I watch it, like the moments that made me laugh the first time make me laugh again, like out loud. And that was one of those moments.
Oh, for
and
sure.
It's so adorable. Just that whole section there with just like the Akito being really comforting and just like letting her know how thankful he is, because it's like in Sana's monologue, she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is so hard for him. Like this is like a big deal," and it really is. And like I still can't get over it years later after seeing it.
Oh, literally same. That is one of the special things about this show, is that like we've seen these episodes dozens of times, read these volumes dozens of times, hundreds of times, and it just never gets old. The beginning of this episode is kind of structured kind of funny. What is with the clip show at the beginning of the episode instead of the usual intros? Like, were they short for time or needed to fill some time or something? Like, what was going on with that? That was weird.
Yeah, it was like just like a whole summary of everything, and it goes on for a little bit.
It does. Although I will say, like, one thing that I liked about it was, I think, and it's only in the Japanese version, they changed it for the English version. But as Sana's doing the narration, she says a lot can happen as you go on living, which little tugged at my heartstrings a little bit, just because "go on living" I think is one of the like 3-word sayings that I think comes up a lot in Kodocha, particularly in the manga. And it's not to get like too meta, but it's also like the name of my Akito fic that I've spent the last 10 months working on, and chose that title because I do think it's very much a part of his story particularly. So I thought it was interesting that it came up in that little clip show part at the top of the episode.
Yeah, it's her fan fiction is just really good. Like I said, I've probably mentioned this in other places online, but like it feels like Obana could have like written that as a novel like years later. Like
oh my God.
It makes me think
too nice. I'm gonna cry. Ari, no.
This is kind of a lame comparison, but it made me think of like how like the Twilight series, like the author. Eventually she wrote the book from like Edward's perspective, but you know, I think your fan fiction's better than Twilight. Let me just put that out there. But like I could totally see like Obana like sitting there like today and be like, I'm gonna write a novel about Akito's perspective from, you know, the middle school days, and then like and it becomes a thing, and like your fan fiction is just it's so spot on. Like you understand these characters so well, and it's really impressive.
You so much. That really means a lot to me.
Oh, don't cry.
I'm like, it doesn't sound like, because I do have tears in my eyes right now. I'm a crybaby anyway. But
No, it's okay. I totally get it.
That project has been one of my favorite things I've done in Kodocha, and it's been a lot of fun because I truly like it was just to get to know Akito better and like really spend some time focusing on his character. And it's really made me love him in a way that like I did before, obviously, but it's been special to me for sure. So thank you very much for your kind words there. That really does mean a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I love fan fiction. Anyway.
Yeah, honestly, it's inspired me a bit too. Like I want to write fan fiction again. It's been years, but like it's just like I don't know where to start.
Everybody write fan fiction because the Kodocha, like there's very little Kodocha fan fiction on Archive of Our Own in English, I should say. There's actually a pretty decent amount in Italian and some in, I think, Portuguese as well. So good for all of those writers in other countries. God bless you. But there's not a ton of English fan fiction on AO3. So please, everybody, just contribute whatever headcanons, one-shots, thoughts that you have. It would be great if there was just more.
You know, anyway. I think it'd be fun if, like, you mentioned that writer who does, like, the Fruits Basket characters.
Yes.
Like, going into, like, their old age and just, like, expanding on their whole lives, basically. Oh, like, yeah. I think that'd be fun to do for Kodocha.
Oh, for sure. Like, oh, man, you should see. I have a file in Notion that I have just called like Kodocha Expanded Universe. And I've got like timelines for like the whole series, everything that happens after the series in my mind with like dates and yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm very inspired by Onigiri Cat Forever, and I want to do that.
Oh yeah. I can definitely help you with that. And anybody listening, if like you want to help with that, well, let's make it a project. Why not?
Yeah, contribute to the world, contribute to the lore.
I always thought it would be interesting to write like a Fuka fan fiction.
Oh, because we've got some Fuka fan fiction in the work, baby. I'm doing justice for my girl. Oh, 100. I'm totally doing some stuff for her because I
wanted to expand on her a lot, like create maybe my own backstory for her.
Do it for sure. Like I love Fuka Matsui. It does feel like maybe our most unpopular Kodocha opinion is loving Fuka, but I do, although I have to say, in watching season 2, I have lately really felt like the anime just does her dirty, you know? Mm-hmm. Like it's just, I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's really, they don't help her.
No,
and I do think that there's an overlap between like folks who hate Fuka and folks who have not read the manga.
Mm-hmm.
Is something else I've noticed. So anyway, I digress. I love her. Our spicy girl.
So back to episode 15. One thing I wanted to point out.
Already off topic. We've been recording for like 5 minutes.
Well, hey, I feel like that's what makes it fun. I say that every time, but it's true. I would listen to our pod. Like if I was not doing this, I would listen to it and I'd be like, "Ooh, I wonder what they're gonna go off topic about this time." But anyways, so something I noticed a difference between the English dub and the Japanese dub in the opening sequence where, you know, Akito and Sana are talking. And she's crying because she's worried about her mom and what's going to happen after the book is published. And I didn't catch this in the English dub, which I feel like is a really important detail to note. In the Japanese dub, so Sana says that she's scared that her mom is going to hate her. And Akito says something along the lines in the Japanese dub, there aren't any mothers who hate their children based on how you pretended to be my mom. And this
Hmm.
was not in the English version. And I feel like this is a really important statement that should have been in the English version because I feel like it really emphasizes the fact that Akito just really does not know what it feels like to have a mom and how much that affects him.
Absolutely. Although I do think there's the English version, because I clocked something similar, which was that instead of saying like because of when you pretended to be my mom, he says something like I guess or like I think because of that time you pretended to be my mom. Like, but it doesn't have the same meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at least that's what I think is what he says. He does reference it, but not in the same way.
Yeah.
And that's again like semantics, English, Japanese, but I do agree that it really does emphasize how like he's making a lot of guesses. And also at this stage, like Akito does not know that Misako is not Sana's birth mother, which I do think is sort of an interesting thing to pepper on, where he's like, well, of course, like, why would your mom hate you? Your mom gave birth to you.
Yeah.
Which, not quite.
Yeah, but she's still like, I don't think she's really thinking about that in the moment, which is why we don't
No.
really see any kind of reaction from her.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Although I do think that something that I noticed this time with that part of the conversation is like, I do think this is one of the first times we really see Sana's fear of abandonment
Hmm.
kind of really come into play. And like, I
Yeah, for
just couldn't help
sure.
but think about that panel in one of the later volumes, where they're talking about like repressed childhood memories and stuff. You
Hmm.
probably know the one where like it's her on the park bench as a baby looking up into the sky, and I'm like, oh my
Oh my
god.
gosh. Oh, I honestly like I'm tearing up now a little bit because
I
like
know that.
oh that I'm rereading the manga right now and I just finished volume 9. I haven't brought myself to read volume 10 because I have to emotionally prepare for it.
That's
But
fair.
like I just finished that section and it's like oh it mentally and emotionally destroys me every single time.
Oh, 100%. It's pretty devastating, but it's interesting. Just I had never really thought about this arc for Sana as being an indication of that piece of her character, if that makes sense. Like I hadn't really
Mhm.
thought about that, but this is definitely like she's worried that her mom doesn't want her around, and I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, because I feel like before I read the manga and just had watched the anime at that point, like that whole thing, that situation, like at least from my perspective, I was like, yeah, she feels sad. Like I feel sorry for her, I feel bad for her, but like she's being a bit irrational.
Mhm.
Like how could her mom hate her? Like it's so obvious that her mom loves her. But then with that added layer, if you've read the last few chapters of the manga, then you're like, okay, so her reaction makes a lot more sense. Like it obviously makes sense before, but it's just a little bit like it's a little bit irrational. But like with that backstory, you're like, oh, okay, so that's why she's so upset about it.
And it's interesting to think about too. Like if you think about like her reactions, even with like Ray, or when she fears that she's losing Ray to Asako, like could that also be a part of that fear of abandonment that she has? Like this fear of losing Ray. I don't know. Lots more to think about, lots more to unpack. I feel like psychologically with Sana's fear of abandonment. But like I
Yeah,
hadn't
it's
really considered these earlier chapters as having anything to do with that, but they kind of do.
yeah, it really shows how good a writer Obama is because like it's I mean I all I can think of is just like wow like I've read a lot of manga and I haven't watched a lot of anime compared to some anime fans. Like I said, we were actually having a conversation earlier off recording where I was saying I think I was talking to you about it and I said that I'd been out of the anime fandom for a while. I was very focused on gaming and Zelda lore. And
Hmm.
so I missed a lot of like reboots and things I wanted to watch that I just like kind of shifted and lost interest in for a while. So in comparison to everything else that I've seen, I've seen other anime manga with good writing in the past. You know, despite all its flaws, I think Shugo Chara is very well written. I think the Fruits Basket series is amazingly written. It's such a beautiful series, but there's just something about Kodocha that's just like it kind of goes really, really deep with things, and I don't know if that was intentional from Obana, or it was just like, you know, she wrote it and it just happened to come out that way. But it's just like, it's so, I don't know how to explain it. Like it touches on things that I feel like don't normally get touched on in a lot of series that I've read. Like you can go way beyond the surface with Kodocha in a way that I feel like you can't exactly do with other series. And it's really hard for me to explain because I don't want to discredit any other mangakas or any other series, but there's just something about Kodocha that I feel like it touches on something that a lot of series don't. And I don't know how to explain it other than that. It resonates in a way, and maybe it's because of a personal bias of mine, because I really do relate to Sana a lot. Like that fear of abandonment, like I like 100% understand that. And I don't know if that's just because of my personal bias, but I really feel like it touches on certain aspects of just being human that we don't really get to see in a lot of stories.
I would agree with that. I do think that's one of the things that makes Kodocha really unique and has given us, you know, you and I, several years of conversation topics. Like,
yeah,
I do think that it's really special. And that's as somebody who, like, I love Kodocha, but I don't really relate to Sana, so I don't think that's just your personal bias at play. I appreciate like what you've shared in terms of like what Kodocha means to you and why it means that to you with me and with everybody who listens. I don't want to take that for granted, but yeah, I don't have that bias, but I do think that it's got a lot of character layers. A side note, in that conversation with Sana and Akito, I do have to complain about a quick anime structuring thing where they interrupted that conversation to go eat shaved ice with Shimura and Rei and Anda for some reason.
yeah, I honestly, like rewatching that, I was like, I just feel like that pacing is a little weird. Like, why do
Yes.
we don't really need that. That
I
that
know.
I guess that was in there to fill time or something. I don't
Or
know.
something, yeah, Anda getting a stomach ache. I'm like, what is going on? Like, and two, like I thought the conversation between Rei and Misako, where he's, you know, kind of trying to get details from her about what the book is about, just like a quick dub note too. I thought it was really interesting that in the English version they said like when the book comes out it's going to cause a huge scandal instead of a huge commotion.
Mhm.
Both are technically accurate, but I think that the word choice has different meanings, which I find interesting.
Yeah, the scandal I feel like sounds more intense.
I agree. And like it is a scandal, I guess, but like I don't know, I thought it was an interesting word choice. And
Mhm.
also just like any conversations between Rei and Misako in the dub are always like weird for me because it is very jarring for me to hear Rei call Misako by her first name and not sensei. Like I don't know why, but I'm like, ew, I hate it. Don't call her that. But it's also weird to like, for me anyway, to like listen to Rei and Misako have conversations without other characters in Kodocha because we're contractually obligated. Fruits Basket mention they play Akito and Shigure in Fruits Basket.
Wait a second. Misako does Akito in Fruits Basket?
Yeah.
Really?
Did you
Wow.
not know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
In the 2019 Fruits
Wow.
Basket, anyway, not in the 2001 Fruits Basket.
Wow. That woman has some range then. That's
That
really
she
cool.
do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I feel like
Oops.
I should have known that.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to have brought it to your attention.
Well, I'm maybe someone else doesn't know that either. So there you go.
There you go.
All right.
Anyway,
So
back to the episode.
something so speaking of like another weird little anime only thing. So when Sana and Akito come back and reunite with their class after being under that hill or cliff for a while. Like they get punished and they have to write an essay, and that's not in the manga, and it's just like, why is that here? It's kind of pointless.
It is in the manga.
Is it?
Yeah,
really?
it's like, but it's very much a throwaway panel. Like they don't have any kind of conversation or anything in it. They're just shown being punished, basically.
Are you sure about that?
I feel pretty good about it.
I'm looking at it.
Do we want to
right
look?
now.
It's
I'm
like
looking at it right
It's
now.
a very tiny panel, and they're kneeling.
Oh,
maybe-
okay. So they're not okay. I didn't
But
know.
they're not like writing. But
Okay, I didn't know that was them being punished. I guess I just didn't really think that was. I don't know. I missed it.
oh, it's very tiny. I feel like it's a really like blink and you miss.
Yeah, it is, because I just like I was scanning it, like it was right there, and I was like, I still don't see it. And then you're like, oh, they're kneeling. You're like, oh, that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Although, come to think of it, I don't think that they're writing. I just sort of was like, yes, and then they will write an apology essay, which is not an uncommon punishment, I feel like.
For sure.
But the conversation that they have in the anime where he's like, why are you, being like this or whatever, that's an addition.
Akito, you like it. You like it.
He does. Bless. Before we move on in the episode, though, can I make a couple of comments about the cliff conversation?
Absolutely.
Okay, first one is Hayama Family Happy Circle. M's translation fixation of the week. So in the Japanese version, they like when Akito's having the memory where he's thinking about Fuyuki and Natsumi's conversation about having to be a Mukoyoshi, which I'm so glad I touched on that a couple of episodes ago. Because the episode with Tsuyoshi, the my name is going to change, because that phrase Mukoyoshi, which basically just means like marrying into a man marrying into a woman's family, does come back up again in this episode. Watching the Japanese version, the subtitles referred to it as the Hayama Family Happy Circle, and I said, what the heck is that? What does that mean? It seemed like such a strange phrase that I was like, what? And then the English version, I don't think they tried to translate that at all in the dub. They just sort of like let that one go. But then I looked in the English version of the manga, and they had titled it as like Hayama Family Time or something. But the Japanese version of the manga used the same phrase that Babbitt's like title slide did in the anime, which is Hayama Ke no Danran, which does literally mean happy circle or sitting together in a circle or harmony. But it's just like not a phrase that we have in English, really. Like I couldn't think of a comparable like phrase that we have that means the same thing, like sitting in a circle. I think we would just say sitting in a circle. It really led me down a rabbit hole. So there you go. Danran, happy circle, sitting together in a circle. Harmony.
That's really interesting.
The only other thing I'd want to mention is my favorite monologue, maybe in the series, is the one that Sana gives, at least in the manga, where she's chasing Akito.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the manga it says, I moved past the fireflies that I had been dying to see because I was chasing after Akito's smile, which was rarer than any firefly.
Oh
and
my
I'm
gosh.
like, ugh. Oh god,
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love it so much.
I love that little monologue too, and I wish that would have been in the anime. But I get they were trying to be silly in the anime, which is fine, but
I feel like Sana doesn't have a lot of like romantic or especially heartfelt monologues like that about Akito. So which I think makes what she says in some ways rarer than any firefly.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just love it. It's a very like, it almost feels like kind of a classic shoujo manga moment in some ways. Maybe that's why I like it so much. But what happens
forward?
Moving forward. Is it summertime?
Yes. So Sana has all her commercials coming out, and she's got acting classes and swimming classes and singing classes, and she's doing her summer play, which we'll see more of in, I believe, the next episode.
Yep.
So this is where we get to that interesting conversation when the gang is at the pool and they're talking about Sana's next commercial that she's going to film. And this is where we're introduced to the name, not the character yet, Naozumi. And so like Tsuyoshi and Akito overhear the conversation, like, oh, he's a pretty boy. And this is where we have one of the most interesting changes in the English dub here, a weird joke, an uncle joke from Tsuyoshi. So
yes!
in the
What the heck was that? I wrote that down too.
yeah, like I was familiar with the fact that that wasn't in the Japanese version, but like I wonder why they threw that in there. That was like up there with like the ghost stories dub weirdness.
Yes, that was so strange. Like the I think it's something that I've noticed too with the Tokyo Pop translation of the English manga is like Japanese, like anytime a character is like repeating themselves or kind of like carrying on about mostly the same topic, they seem to want to insert a new sentence. Like it's like a weird translation obsession. Like anytime a character's repeating themselves. And that kind of feels like what it is, because in the Japanese version, Tsuyoshi's like, well, if he's as pretty as a girl, then he's got to, or, you know, if he's a boy, then that means he's not a girl. And if that's, you know, because girls can't be boys, and like is kind of carrying on in that circular fashion. So then they added, unless you're my Uncle Haru, who we're not supposed to talk about, which, you know, I don't think that aged particularly well.
No, not at all. No.
Smells like a little bit of mid 2000s transphobia.
That's why I
like,
said that it's up there with the ghost stories dub moments.
Yeah, just what the fuck was that choice? Yeah, didn't like that. And another thing from that scene, this is smaller, but it made me sad because I love this moment, is Tsuyoshi trying to get into the pool without his glasses. And, you know, Akito being like, follow the noise, like listen to the sound of my voice. It's one of my favorite little Tsuyoshi Akito background moments. And in the English dub, they turned it into him saying, like, leave me alone. And I was like, no, he's being a good friend. Don't take this from him.
I know. Another this is a Japanese dub exclusive moment, and this was in the same conversation. I'm not sure which character brought it up first. I didn't write that down, but they described Naozumi as Bishonen.
Yes.
I had not heard that term in a long time. So correct me if I'm wrong. I probably should have researched this before I'm speaking, but is that basically like it's like an anime boy who's like a little bit feminine?
Why don't we check correct? The G show for the official translation?
Because I used to know what that meant a long time ago.
So we've, like, I would say in fandom, we've always taken that to mean like hot guy. You know, this is going to be very cringy and you will have to forgive me for this, but like back in the day, like I'm talking like when I'm like barely out of elementary school, middle school age, a million years ago, any anime guy that like you thought was hot or that like you wanted to like stake some sort of weird claim on with your friends would be your Bishonen, or you would say like my Bishie.
That's
and so
so
there was
interesting.
like a whole subculture of like my Bishie no touchy. I feel weird even saying those words for the first time in like 20 years, but that was the thing we did.
Wow, we never did that, which is weird because like we would claim anime guys, but like I guess just we weren't privy to that term for some reason. And we would have been in middle school around the same time. We're both basically the same age. So, interesting.
Yeah. So I looked it up in Jisho, which is the Japanese dictionary. Fantastic resource, by the way. I'll link it in the description. And Bishonen is defined as handsome youth, pretty boy, typically for male. Because I know Bishoujo is typically used as to mean pretty girl. So yeah, so pretty boy, handsome, hot guy. I think all of those terms apply. But yeah, Bishonen, I'm okay with like any and all translations of the term personally.
That was fun times. I remember I claimed Gaara from Naruto as my
you were a Gaara girl.
Oh, okay. I was
a Sasuke girl, but that's not surprising.
Oh my god.
Sakura was my favorite character, so obviously had to be Sasuke, right?
It's kind of funny because like Sasuke's grown on me a lot since I've like been watching Shippuden with my husband, and like, my husband hates Sasuke. He thinks he's a butthole. And I'm like, he's cute though.
I was gonna say, I'm
He
like,
can't help it.
oh my gosh. So my husband has a whole theory, that's not necessarily a theory, but he's like, all anime are essentially a version of Naruto. There's always a Naruto and there's always a Sasuke. And so, like, for instance, like, I'm not watching Black Clover. I don't really know what it's about, but like, when he wants to talk to me about Black Clover, he'll be like, okay, so Sasuke and Naruto are doing this. And like, same thing with Chihaya Furu with like Taichi and Arata and stuff. He's like, yeah, so Sasuke and Naruto are doing this in this show. And it's just like, yeah, kind of all shows are Naruto at the end of the day in some way.
Well, if you think about it, it really goes beyond Naruto because it really started with Dragon Ball Z, if you think
Oh
about it.
yeah, it's the archetypes. Yeah.
Yeah, Goku and Vegeta, Naruto
Yeah.
and Sasuke. This is kind of more, I don't know if this would be a good example. Hiei and Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, okay.
There's another one, but I can't think of it right now. It's another popular one.
Anybody who is a main character who wants to be the best and their effortlessly talented best friend. Um,
This is a perfect example as well. This is a game. Sonic and Shadow, the Hedgehog.
yeah, yeah,
Perfect
that's a good
example of
one.
that. But yeah, it's interesting how they use that particular archetype kind of plot device in so many different things like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, but your your statement reminded me of this I think it might have been on Twitter. I saw this meme and it was like how we choose toxic men because we chose Sasuke instead of Naruto.
oh, for realsies. I 100%. I'm like, yeah, like if you look at my taste in anime boys from over the years, although actually, as I'm saying that, like my Bishies no Touchy when I was like 12 were Inuyasha, who, is kind of prickly, but ultimately a real sucker at the end of the day for his lady.
Hmm.
Aoyama from Tokyo Mew Mew was everything to me. Shaoran from Cardcaptor Sakura, and those are probably my main ones. I'm trying to think.
Now, the Tokyo Mew Mew character, which one is that again? Because I might be
That's
thinking of
that's Ichigo's boyfriend.
really?
The Masaya Aoyama.
I was gonna say I like that alien guy way better.
Oh my
Kishu.
God. This is literally the like I do feel very alone in my love for Aoyama. But I always did. Because I've never understood the appeal of Quiche. I like he is so ooh, I'm about to get in trouble, I feel like.
You can cut it if you need to.
Maybe. I just like the thing that I don't like about Quiche, everybody's like, he's so passionate, like he loves her so much. I'm like, yeah, but he's also like does not understand the concept of consent, like in any way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah,
And
I
like
like
his obsession is like not good.
no, 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 no. I mean, it's a dynamic that's like fun to watch. Like it's I admit it, it's fun to watch it. Is it
Oh
toxic?
yeah.
Yes, it's very toxic, but it's an interesting dynamic, and you hope that they change. You know what I mean? I think that's why there's that Naruto Sasuke meme exists because like you know.
Oh yeah. I think like I never understood. I don't know. I've always been a pretty canon shipper also. I don't have a reason for that necessarily. I don't really maybe I lack the vision. I don't know what, but I've never been able to understand the quiche phenomenon,
I get
which
it,
is
but
huge. And with
I
the reboot too, everybody was like, "Oh, I still love the alien boy." And I'm like, "Will we get some justice for this sweet soft nerd?" Like
honestly, the best ship from Tokyo Mew Mew is Parin and Takuto.
yes,
They're so
for
cute together.
I am obsessed with them, and also like, oh my God, especially with the Tokyo Mew Mew reboot too. Like, I feel like every ship that was not canon but like sort of hinted at, they were like, it's all canon. all of it. Like every gay ship your heart ever wanted, it's real, 100%. And I love that for like the Tokyo Mew Mew fandom.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. I still have to watch the
Oh, it's so
reboot.
good.
Is
Okay,
it still going or is it finished?
it's wrapped up, yeah, and it's only like, so I think in total is 24 episodes. It's really quick. It's only on High Dive. I can lend you my account.
Thanks. I actually planned it getting it from Right Stuff because I saw it was on there. Because
I
I
know
try
they've
to
only got the first 12 episodes though on Right Stuff right
really.
now.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
not the full series. I'm
Hmm.
waiting. I'm hoping that they do like a really nice like steelbook or something collectible with the full series on it. So I'm waiting to purchase. But yeah, so you can borrow my High Dive account and watch it. We were talking
So
about
back
stuff.
to the
Bisho Nen
episodes.
put us on
So
a weird track there for a minute.
well, I mean, like it brought up some good memories from back in the day. So I
Oh,
just we gotta reminisce about that, you know.
of course.
A part of me still inside of me has that little fangirl me from back in the day
Oh,
that gets excited about silly things, which it's like I said, I was telling him earlier about how like doing the Kodocha channel has like really gotten me back into like just the anime fandom in general and like I see things on Twitter about like the Tokyo Mew Mew reboot or different manga that people are reading and I get really like excited like oh that looks so romantic.
oh, truly
I
same.
want to I want to be a part of that fandom. We're actually getting towards the end of the episode.
Ooh,
So unless you want to add something else from before we meet Natsumi.
yes, one thing before we meet Naozumi, which is Tsuyoshi and Akito walking home, and Tsuyoshi talking about him and Aya-chan's first date. And they're going to a Bon Odori dance, and Aya's going to wear a yukata, which, made me realize that like we really don't have any canon instances where Sana and Akito wear traditional clothes or like go to a festival or anything together, and I really wish we did.
Yeah, at
um
least like a filler episode of that would have been cool.
right, I'm like, that's one way Kadocha differs from like other shoujos, is like we don't have any, like there's no class festival, no school play, like no traditional clothing episode, and I kind of want those things.
Yeah, that would be
And
cool. Maybe in a reboot. Who knows?
maybe, and then the other thing I was going to point out is that the dub changed Tsuyoshi talking about Aya wearing a yukata to saying that she's going to wear something frilly and formal. Like, and should I wear something frilly and formal? And I'm like, no. The end. Like,
Yeah, I wrote
they
that
could
down
have,
too.
yeah, like I get that, like, probably average audiences aren't going to know the difference between like a yukata, a furisode, and a kimono, but like they could have said kimono, I think, and it would have been fine. But
Oh
whatever.
yeah, I feel like most people know what that is, even if you're not into
Yeah.
Japanese culture.
Yeah, you for sure can identify kimono. Like, anyway, it is what it is. So I guess it's now Zumi o'clock.
Yep.
I love,
So
I love this boy.
me too. I
My
feel like
baby.
out of all the Kodocha characters, he's definitely I did a video of my top 5 characters and he was number 3.
That's tall praise. All right.
Yeah, I love Nazumi. I think he's one of the best Kodocha characters. I think he's, we talked earlier about how the characters in the story are very layered, and I feel like he's one of the most interesting ones when it comes to that.
I definitely agree. Very interesting results on Daily Kodocha.
Yeah, so I don't mean to steal
Yeah,
your thunder. I know what you're
no,
talking
not at
about,
all.
but
It's interesting. So basically, like I did an experiment where like for 1 week, just about once or twice a month, depending on when everybody's birthday was, I spent a week celebrating each character in Kadocha's canon or non-canon, in some cases, birthdays on Twitter. And after a full year of it, I decided to go back and add up the results in terms of like tally the retweets and the likes to kind of see like who got the most engagement, who is the most popular character in Kadocha according to engagement. And now Zumi ranked like third from the bottom, which I was frankly shocked about, because now Zumi fans are probably I would argue the most vocal in Kadocha, but like they didn't show up for him in terms of retweeting and likes. So he ended up toward the bottom of the list. I was shocked when I was doing that math. Like,
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, I remember looking for Nazumi in particular because I looked at the
yeah,
top row and he wasn't there, and I was like, what? Like, I
yeah,
thought for sure he would have been in the top five. And then I go all the way, I think it was like the last row he was in, or the
yeah.
second to last, I think. I can't remember. It's like, oh my gosh, like, what
Obana
the heck?
got more engagement than Naozumi did. With, by the way, fewer posts. Like I didn't do a full week for her. So I was just like, what the what? Like
Yeah. I
it was
was
really
really,
surprising.
I was really excited for Fuyuki though,
I
not being number
know.
three.
I love
He
my old man
deserves
so
it.
much. He does. Come over again sometime. Like I just
That actually happened in this episode, I
I
think.
know I wrote it down because it makes me so happy. Like I
I
love
did,
whenever Fuyuki talks to the TV and tells Sana to come over sometime.
me too. I wrote that down too, and next to it I wrote in all caps, LOL.
My I love that crazy old man. He is everything. I don't
He
know why
really
I love him
is.
so much. I do not have a good explanation for it. It's a feeling.
Just because like he's kind of got that Akito thing about him, like where he's just kind of very straightforward and just kind of monotone. But yet
Mhm.
he says like the silliest things, and like of course we have that one episode where he dances, which is just amazing.
That is maybe one of my favorite episodes. If
Yeah,
only for that
same.
moment. It's so good. He's such a goose, a silly, silly goose. It was a fun experiment though.
So
But
I
I
didn't find. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say for Naozumi's first look, I thought it was really funny that Tsuyoshi's predictions about Naozumi, like I wonder if he'll have like the flowers and the sparkly background like in a shoujo anime, like came true.
Yeah, that was a good little touch there.
I think so too.
But
Any
as for like the changes between the dubs, I didn't catch anything. It was pretty straightforward.
only thing I noticed in that little chunk is where Sana pushes Zenjiro and Hiroshi in their cockroach costumes down the hallway. And in the Japanese version, she says, if you think all I am is cute, you're going to be in trouble. And then in the English version, she says, never mess with a ballerina. That was it. It's like, that's semantics. It's not a hugely important one, but I think the if you think all I am is cute, you're going to be in trouble is pretty fun quote. But that's the only one I picked up on. Otherwise, I think it's pretty much smooth sailing for the rest of the episode.
So this episode ends on, of course, in Kodocha fashion, another cliffhanger. So Nazumi says to Sana as they're wrapping up the commercial, I know your secret.
Mm-hmm.
So people watching the first time were like, oh, is this related to that book? What's going on here? Is he like a long lost brother?
Yeah. Oh
That's
my
what I
God.
actually thought the first time I
Really?
watched it. I thought that Naozumi was gonna be her brother.
Wow. I don't remember what I thought the first time I saw the episode because it's been 1,000,005 years since I've seen it. But one of the things I love about Naozumi is how he has to make a dramatic exit. I relate to that personally. I just love it. I love how he can never let it lie. He's always got to say something to kind of push someone's buttons. He does it to Akito a lot, and I think it's extremely funny, especially because Akito falls for it every
Oh
single time.
yeah. He
Um,
uh he gets really dramatic. I think it's at the very end of volume 9 when he's
yes,
oh my gosh, like he's like, "Do you think that means me and Sana are destined to be together?"
because I think we are, and I'm like, you little shit.
I know. The,
I
the
love
thing
him so
about
much.
Nazumi too is like I feel like normally when a character is like that, like they're just really mean and
Yeah,
like but it's weird because Nazumi is not mean at all. He literally
no,
just likes to be dramatic. That's literally it.
just wants to try saying shit. Like, yeah, no, I love it so much. It really tickles me. I love this exit. But I also love that like this being his first meeting with Sana, too, he doesn't know her well enough to know yet that she's not gonna take that lying down. And he's about to be put pretty on the spot. So I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
It's a good episode. This also has my favorite Naozumi and Sana commercial. I love the heel band commercial, if only because I think it's extremely funny to watch them go like heel band. Heel Ben.
Yeah,
Heel
I'm
Ben.
I'm actually
Like back
really
and forth.
I'm actually really excited to and this is me being a Kodocha conspiracy theorist. I don't want to reveal it on the podcast because I have this plan for a video. So right now I'm doing a video series about Sana and Akito through the manga. And I actually plan on doing a series with Sana and Naozumi in that way, like exploring their relationship a bit. And there's something really interesting about that commercial that it's very subtle, but there's some foreshadowing in that commercial in particular, which I really can't wait to unpack in a future video. That's probably going to be a while, probably not another couple months till I make the Sana and Naozumi series, maybe even a year. It's going to take a while, but I have this idea, and I'm really excited to tie in that commercial with their relationship. Like, I feel like what I came up with was just genius, and I don't know if this is like intentional, but I really think that that particular scene was something that Obana wrote to foreshadow something else that's coming in the series between the two.
Color me intrigued. I can't wait to see what you have in store.
Like I said, like I want to share it on the podcast, but like I want to save it for my video.
Save it for your video.
I'll tell you in a DM if you want me to.
Well, I'm not a patient person, so I'm probably going to take you up on that.
Sounds good.
Oh man. Is that everything?
Yeah, it felt like a really short episode.
Maybe. I wonder what it'll be when we edit.
Yeah.
I feel like
I mean, we did get off topic
we focused
a lot
today.
We were more focused, I think, than last time.
Yeah, last time was, God bless all of you for hanging in with us, because that was, yeah, we were caffeinated. That's the only way I can think to put it.
For sure.
Not that we're not caffeinated today, but I also like that for us, like, focused means we only got off topic 5 times instead of 10. Like,
right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking
really
over
for sticking with us.
I'm looking over my notes. I don't see anything else that I want to mention.
Yeah, I don't have anything either. We got it all, which is fantastic. Well, thanks for sticking with us through the promised summers.
Yeah, it was
this promised
summer. I had a great time discussing this with you, and I'm looking forward to having many, many more episodes of 19 o'clock news to come in the future.
Me too. We've got some exciting ideas in the pipeline and things that we're excited to put together. So everybody stay tuned for that, and we'll see you in September with our next episode. And then October, we'll be celebrating 1 year of 19 o'clock news. Can you believe it?
Woohoo!
All right, bye guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to 19 O'Clock News, a Kodocha podcast.
19 O'Clock News is hosted by That Kodocha Girl and Mahou Shoujo M.
We love making new friends. Feel free to join us in the Kodocha Discord under Kodocha_media.
19 O'Clock News is not affiliated with any current or previous rights holders to Kodomo no Omocha by Miho Obana.